who walks with some self-discipline. Did you know that every one of us, if we really want to change the direction of our lives, we've got to have intention. That means that you and I have to make a decision. We have to make the decision that we're going to be intentional where we are going and what we are going to do. And intention is absolutely essential because it determines the direction that you are going to go and what kind of person you are going to become. Then, after you make that decision that you're going to be intentional and directional, then you need to change your behavior and act accordingly. It's an act of the will. Did you know that? It's important to have intention. A lot of people have intention. Oh, I intend to, do this or do that. But then you got to make a decision that is actually going to become a part of your behavior. And that is, of course, a decision. You may say to yourself, okay, my intention is, of course, to, exercise or eat better or, be more loving. Well, you got to change your behavior. You got to make that decision. And it's not just a, one-time decision. It is a daily decision to change your behavior. You've got to say, okay, with my mind, I am going to do this, but with my will, I'm going to follow through. And slowly, as you are intentional, moment by moment, hour by hour, it becomes behavior. That's right. Your behavior begins to change. For example, you say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to speak kind words to everyone that I have an opportunity. And when you do that, you know what happens? It becomes part of your behavior. It becomes part of your daily activity and your daily consequence. You have made a decision. And not only does it become a behavior, but then it becomes a habit. One of my friends years ago told me that if you want to have a habit, you've got to be able to do it every day for at least 21 days. When you do something for 21 days, 9 times out of 10, it actually becomes a habit. Now, many of us have bad habits that we need to break. And of course, that has to do with intention and behavior. But also, as well, you've got to make a decision that I got to break this habit if it's bad. If it's a good habit, you want to establish it. You want it to become part of who you are. And it starts with intention. It starts with making a decision to do a behavior, and then it becomes a habit. And it becomes a habit over time. Actually, it's repeating it over time. Repetition is the word that I wanted to use. You and I need to continue to repeat whatever that good behavior and that good habit become. Because when it turns from intention, you intend to do this, then you make it part of your behavior, then what happens is it becomes your habit. And then it becomes a practice. It's something that becomes who you are. We need to be people of practice. And we need to practice certain things every day. Like, for example, speaking kind to people, loving people, being, an inspiration and a role model. These are important things. People need to see people today who are honest and truthful and walk with integrity and people that they can trust. That started off with an intention. Then you make it part of your behavior. Then it becomes a habit. And in time, it becomes a practice. And when it becomes a practice, you know what happens? It becomes second nature. It's something that you just do. It's not something that you have to intention any longer. You don't have to make it a behavior any longer. It doesn't become a habit or a practice. It just becomes second nature. When you see someone who needs help, it's just your second nature to do that. If you see someone who needs encouragement, you just encourage. It's your second nature. When you're walking down the street and you smile at somebody, it's second nature. Giving kindly words and acts of kindness because you've been intentional, because you've made it part of your behavior, then it becomes your habit, your practice. It just becomes second nature. It becomes who you are. And basically, you want these wonderful qualities to be who you are. You don't want other things, the negative things, to be who you are. So you and I, we need to make some decisions. We got to make some decisions. Okay, today I'm going to be more positive. I'm going to be more loving. I'm going to be more empathetic. I'm going to be more compassionate. I'm going to demonstrate, greater kindness. That is intention. And then you make it a behavior. You make the decision that you're going to do it every single day and every single moment that you have. Then it becomes your habit. And when it becomes your habit, then it becomes your practice. And then as you practice it, and remember, anything that really is of good quality, you got to practice, okay? For example, if you wanted to, become more fit, you got to practice it every single day. And then it becomes your second nature. Let me give you an example. There's a guy named Dwayne Johnson, and Dwayne Johnson had intended to become a fit individual. But how did he do it? He made it part of his behavior. Then it became a habit. Then it became a practice. Then it became second nature. And now every single day, besides being the actor and, inspiration that he is, he basically, exercises 3 to 4 hours a day. It's something that has just become second nature. And then you see him on the screen or you see him walking down the street. You got this great big muscled guy. It didn't just happen by accident. He had an intention. He made it a behavior. It became a habit, a practice. It became a second nature, and it became who he was. Folks, that's what we have to do today. If you want to change your lifestyle, you've got to start with intention. And then follow the steps that I've been giving to you today, and it'll become who you are. That's my thought for you today. Well, again, like I said, if you like what you've been hearing and seeing, press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name is Robert Dean Steele. Thank you for spending time with me today.